All right, today you're going to be creating your mannequin for your Futurism drawing project. At the drive-thru, you're going to get a piece of tag board with all the parts to create your mannequin. The first thing you need to do is cut these out. Now, what I would recommend is doing a bubble cut to get around the shape, and then doing a close cut to get right next to the line. This is going to take a little bit of time. So what I also would recommend is to do a little bit of each. So do a little cutting and then do a little assembling. These two parts are the part for the leg. If I'm not quite sure, I can always look at this little diagram, this picture, and it will show me the parts that I need. So the top part of the leg, the thigh, and then I'm going to cut out the foot and put those two things together so they don't get lost. If you just cut out all the pieces and then you just have a pile, things tend to go missing. All right, once you have two pieces that belong together cut out, you're going to use a hole punch and you're going to punch a hole right at the X. Now, instead of trying to have my hole puncher aim right for the X, what I'm going to do is just kind of push it in as far as the hole puncher will go, or kind of look through that hole at the top instead of the bottom. Look through that little window and see if I can line it up. You don't want the hole punch to be close to the edge because then your hole will not be a hole, it will be more of like a C shape or a semicircle. All right, so looking at my diagram, the thin part, the knee, attaches to the calf. So lining up those two holes and pushing through a brass brad. So the piece goes through the hole and then spread these two tabs out. And that's how a brass brad works and how you can connect your mannequin together. So each piece needs to be cut out. Again, do a bubble cut and then cut the small close cut pieces out on the black line. Attach as you go. Once you have your mannequin all cut out and assembled, your next step is to trace it, going across a page to make an action or a motion. My mannequin here is starting to fall, so you can see it coming from the top corner and traveling down the page. At the drive-thru, what you're going to need to grab is a white piece of paper. On the back, with a pencil, write your name and class code. Flip it over and decide what you want your mannequin to be doing. It could be jumping, it could be doing a cartwheel, it could be falling, he could be doing some kind of dance. It's up to you. So if my mannequin is going to do a jump, I'm going to have him start down at the bottom here and take a marker and trace. Now this is a little bit tricky because, as you know, with the brass brads, those were important so that the mannequin's arms, legs, body would move. It's tricky for tracing though because it starts to move as I trace with my marker. So do you see how I have my fingers spread out and I'm having it hold down each part that I'm tracing? So it's holding down the leg, holding down the top part of the leg, holding down the torso as the marker travels around that shape. You kind of have to have your fingers walk across the mannequin as you're tracing. Go slow. It's not a quick job. It's not quite perfect. It's not a problem. All right, so there's my mannequin just standing. The next pose might be him starting to bend his knees to get ready for a jump. And I could change the color if I want. You could use the same color. It's up to you. Maybe I'll just move up a little bit and trace around. All right, I'm gonna trace the mannequin a number of times going up and across my paper. I could even add some lines or make some things thicker if I would like, because this line is pretty thin. So if I come back in with my marker, this is kind of a thin line. I could add a line that's a little bit heavier by turning the marker on its side. You want quite a bit of ink on the tracing. Once you have your mannequin going through a motion, going all the way across your page, you're ready for a paintbrush and water. So this is one that I've been working on with my mannequin falling, and it's kind of overlapping, and I really like how that looks. So before I would paint or use a brush, I need to keep tracing that, but for the sake of this directions, I'm just gonna move on. So with a cup of water that is filled up 4 fingers, you're going to also need a paintbrush. You're going to take your brush and you're going to have it trace along the edge where the marker is. The marker has ink in it, and it should spread out faintly across your paper. This starts to create the feeling that there's motion, that it's blurry, and that the person or your mannequin is moving across your page. It implies or gives the idea of movement. You could add as much or as little water as you would like. All right, 5th grade, this is kind of a fun project, unlike something maybe we would do in our normal art class. So get creative with your mannequin and the motion that they're doing. Have fun using water and adding it to markers so it looks like paint. I can't wait to see how these turn out.